Rules meeting?
Yes, sir, I will.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that we're gathered here to represent our people. And God bless each and every one here today and be with all of us that we can make the best decisions that we can possibly make for our people today. And dear Heavenly Father, be with our troops that are in harm's way and guide them home and take care of their families. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Roll call, Shelley?
Joe Bird,
Honey?
Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Buell England.
Honey.
Keith Austin. Jack Baker. Harley Buzzard. Sean Crittenden. Don Garvin. Ryan Hatfield. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Dick Way. Curtis Snell. Janice Taylor. Here. David Thornton.
Yeah.
Victoria Vasquez. David Walkingstick.
Yeah.
Ryan Warner. We do have a quorum.
Okay, this time I'd entertain passage of the minutes. Got a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. We drop down to reports. Marshal Shannon Buell.
Good morning.
Stick.
It's still morning, right? Yes, it is. My wife had me go to a play in Muskogee Saturday night, and let me tell you, it was horrifying. But I survived it, and I'm not the play type of person, I guess. My wife loved it. She said it was really good. I don't know that, but I made it, and so I'm here. Thank goodness. Other than what's in the rules this month, there are some added things I need to talk about. One, a couple of you are probably aware, we've had a pretty substantial federal investigation over in Adair County. It had to do with a rape of a little girl. I'm pleased to say we got a federal indictment on that. So we're moving forward really fast, and I'm not going to name names, but if it was partly due to some of the people in this room that brought to our attention this case that was going to be handled in the state, and we found a tribal hook to it, and we were able to put this suspect in a federal court and get him federally indicted. And kind of what that looks like is he might have gotten a couple of years in the state, and now he's looking at pretty serious incarceration in the federal system. So it's a community effort. So I thank the council members that helped us throughout the process. And I want to say that our prayers got to the family of this little girl, and that she makes a speedy recovery, and that her life goes on without a hitch. Also, we've been pretty active down in Sequoyah County. As most of you are probably aware, we have a new sheriff in Sequoyah County, Larry Lane. I will say publicly, he's probably the best sheriff we've had in Sequoyah County in 17 years as I've been at the Marshal Service. He's very proactive. He's a good law enforcement officer, and I think that's what they need down there. With that being said, we've had a couple of SWAT activations down in Sequoyah County. One was an armed barricaded gunman that had just got out of prison and had kidnapped his ex-girlfriend and held her hostage. That was resolved about 4 weeks ago. And then last week, we were asked to come down and serve a high-risk warrant on some Aryan Brotherhood. Aryan Brotherhood is a white supremacist organization, and this was north of Vian. So we were down there on that, and that search warrant was also really well. So I commend the men and women of the Marshal Service that we're asked to do tough jobs out there every single day, whether it's a child rape, whether it's working with ICW. And I don't know how ICW does their job. I truly don't. To see the heartbreak on these little kids every day would I'd have to go to therapy, I think. But, you know, my men and women at the marshals, they work very hard. They work a lot of overtime, and they do good for this tribe. And I think everybody knows it. On a good note, we've finally settled into our new accommodations over at EMS, and I welcome you all. Anytime you want to come by and see it, we're very proud of it. I never would have thought in the 17 years at the Marshal Service that we'd have a place like that. I never would have thought that. So I want to give my thanks to the council and to the chief, the Secretary of State, and the Chief of Staff for helping us facilitate what is a pretty much state-of-the-art building, and it makes you proud to come in. General Lyle helped at C&E to bring big pieces of artwork into our building, and they put these big murals on the wall of old pictures of old marshals at the time of statehood. So it kind of harkens back to our history, and so when you walk down the halls now, you're seeing old marshals in every hall that you can look at. So it is a fantastic time to be a marshal. How's that? So is there any questions that you might have?
Any questions for our marshal? Just a comment. Well, you got shortchanged because the initial plan was to have the marshals right there with the EMS building. Because we took that plan that the Eastern Band Cherokees had, which has an EMS and a marshal there jointly. That was the plan. For some reason, you didn't get put in there. For now in 17 years, we finally have.
Well, I'll take it. How's that? Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Councilor Austin.
Thank you, and a comment. About a month ago, we had a thank you breakfast in Rogers County, District 14, for the law enforcement, and you came up there and spent time with us that morning. That was a really effective way to create harmony between the other forces that we work with, and I appreciate your time that morning, and I think it was a extraordinarily time well spent. Thank you.
No, it was my honor to do that, and I offered that to anybody at the council. If you have a community meeting that you need me there, unless my wife has me at a play, I will do whatever I need to get to you. You represent the people of the Cherokee Nation. You represent your sector of the Cherokee Nation, and that is utterly important. And we work, quite frankly, for you all. I mean, that's who we work for, the people of the Cherokee Nation that you represent every single day that you do your job. So thank you for what you do, and if there's anything I can do for you, you don't hesitate. My phone rings 24/7, so give me a call. And if I'm in theater, then I'll be more than happy to come out and take that phone call.
Okay, anybody else? Good report, Marshal.
Thank you.
Office of the Attorney General. And I'd like to introduce our Deputy Chief today here. He's with us, and it's a privilege to have you in the audience there, Deputy. Thank you for being here. Okay.
Well, I'll be short if you guys let me. We received notice on Friday that the UKB filed notice of appeal in the 76-acre trust case. The deadline to file was today. We have not seen any filing from the Department of Interior in that case. So they have the option to not file anything, to join the position of the UKB, to not take a position, or join our position. And they have today to decide whether or not they're going to join in that appeal. They'll still be a party, but they're not mandated to actively participate in it, so we'll just have to wait and see. We don't know what their position is. We filed in the Northern District in federal court our response in the opioid case. As you all know, the defendants there asked the court to enjoin us from going forward in our tribal court action, arguing that we didn't have jurisdiction, and we filed a 40-page, and I believe we ended up having over 200 pages of exhibits with that filing. We had affidavits from multiple employees of the Cherokee Nation talking about our legal connections that give us jurisdiction over the defendants in that case, and how the opioid epidemic has affected the Cherokee Nation. So they will get to reply to that, and then at some point we hope the court will make a ruling. The tribal court case where we actually sued them is stayed for either 90 days or until the federal court makes a decision, whichever is first. So if we go 90 days without a federal court making a decision, then we will continue to go forward with the tribal court action. And finally, we are in the process as we speak of moving upstairs. I think we got about 7 or 8 of our people moved Thursday and Friday last week. The rest of them will be moving this week. You're welcome to come up anytime. I can tell you it's a mess right now because we're in the middle of unpacking boxes. But if you all haven't been up there, it's a really, really nice space. And it looks a lot more like lawyers' offices than the old offices we had. So we are really happy to be in that nice new space. So you can come see us when you're here. We'll be a lot closer. And I'll take any questions you have.
Yes, Counselor Buzzer?
I have a question about relinquishment of tribal citizenship.
Yes.
Can you walk us through this real quick? I just want to hear how the situation works.
So, and this is by statute that tribal council passed, I think it's 10 plus years old. And for a while, it wasn't necessarily being enforced. And there was a court case that came up about whether or not someone had actually relinquished because they hadn't followed the required law. So if someone wants to relinquish, they go into tribal registration and they fill out a form saying that they want to relinquish. Registration puts all of their information on it. They then have to file in district court, and it's set for a hearing. They have to come to court. They can do that. Our code allows people to appear by phone if they seek permission, because we've had some folks out of state who don't want to have to fly to Oklahoma to relinquish tribal citizenship. They do have to have a hearing. And the reason that they have to have a hearing, it's really important that they understand what they're doing. Relinquishing tribal citizenship is a big deal. Also, under the law, once you relinquish, you have to wait 5 years to reapply. So the judge puts them under oath, and they have to testify that they understand what they're doing, and they understand that they can't reapply for 5 years. Also, if the child is a minor that is relinquishing, the person who is the sponsor requesting that relinquishment on the child's behalf has to have the legal authority to do that. And we actually, I think we only allow biological or adoptive parents to relinquish for a child. So if you're simply the guardian of a child, you don't have the authority to relinquish their citizenship. You have to be a biological or adoptive parents with parental rights to make those decisions, which is a good thing because you don't, a right that a parent retains until they're no longer as a parent is determining citizenship for their child. So just because you may have some type of temporary custody agreement of that child doesn't mean you have the right to relinquish. But we've been having quite a few of these. I think the last docket I saw had 9 or 10 of them set for hearing. So as far as I know, there haven't been any issues with them yet. There have been no appeals. We have had a couple of people that don't show up once the hearing is set. And usually the court just allows those to be reset upon application instead of dismissing them. So if they had some travel problems or something like that.
For a second.
Someone's
Someone's trying to call you. Are we good?
Victoria Vasquez.
Okay.
Well, state citizenship, you don't actually relinquish. You just, if you move, then you change state citizenship. There's I don't know with United States citizenship what the process is, and I think it depends on the reason for, but I'm not sure on that.
The reason I'm asking is my son had a citizen that called me and he said, I'm an adult. He felt like that we were treating him like the old BIA, like the old Indian system used to treat him. We weren't confident to say, I want to like citizenship. Didn't feel like he needed to go and have a judge so hey, he felt like he was an adult and was intelligent enough to make those decisions. I want to know, because the district court tells me that they're pretty much tied up their pool. You get in, you go down there and you just take the chances on when you go and have your hearing. I don't know, I didn't agree or disagree with him, I just want to see how the process works. So I'll have to give it some thought because if you're an adult, you're capable of making those decisions. I don't know why we have to have another person to make to say, yes, you can. So those are some things I'd like for the other council to think about. It's inconvenience to a lot of people. If you're an adult and you're competent and you want to make those decisions, it ought to be your decisions. I guess a judge could say, no, you can't, but why would it be up to the judge to make that decision is what I'm saying here. So anyway, I just want the other council members to keep that in mind, because you're going to have more citizens that call us about this. And I think if you're, I guess it goes back to the OBI thing, where they had to okay you to rent your land, lease your timber out because you weren't competent enough to make those decisions. And this person telling me, he said, I'm a competent adult and I can make the decision, so why would I have to go for a judge to do it? But you made some good points on what you just told us, Barbara, also.
I think part of going before the judge is that determination of competency, because you very well may have a situation where someone isn't competent and someone, for whatever reason, may be pressuring them to do this, or they may not understand even the legal ramifications of it. So for them to have to be sworn in, and it's 3 or 4 questions that they're asked. Do you understand the legal process? Do you know that once you relinquish, you can't reapply for 5 years, that you may be ineligible for certain benefits that require citizenship? And and again, this is legislation, so it's statute that we're following. But I think part of the reason that Tribal Council did that to start with is so you don't have individuals in the registration department or wherever it may be making decisions about does this person understand everything that they are doing by relinquishing citizenship.
And I think you put the example of we vote and we don't do that stuff there. We take their words for it and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just something that I'd like for the other committee members to think about and see if we need to look at the legislation on that. But thank you. I think you did some good points, made some good points to me. So thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Councilor Taylor?
I just had a question regarding the opioid case and the argument that we don't have jurisdiction. Does the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians case, where although it was a slippery slope, it was decided in their favor, does that in any way set precedents? I know the circumstances are different, but can you speak to that at all?
Well, it helps. The problem with that case is it was a Fifth Circuit decision, and we sat in the 10th Circuit, so it doesn't directly apply to our federal courts. And because it was affirmed by the Supreme Court, but it was only affirmed because it was a tie and the lower case stood. So the United States Supreme Court didn't write an opinion that would help us interpret. But obviously we will, we're making a similar type of argument that when you come into a tribe's area and conduct business with them and conduct business with their people and know that you are doing business with a tribe and in a tribal area, then you should be subject to the civil jurisdiction of their courts. So we do have some similar arguments. In our case, and all of this is information that's in our public filing. For example, with Walmart, we have contracts directly with Walmart in other areas where they agree to tribal court jurisdiction. We have deliveries of these companies that occur directly to trust land, and we have contracts with these companies directly. So those are all arguments that we make as to why we are able to exercise civil jurisdiction over them, because the general rule is tribes do not have civil jurisdiction over non-Indian people or companies unless those people consent to jurisdiction either explicitly in writing or through their actions. And most of our arguments are that through their actions of interacting with a tribe and tribal citizens that they've consented to tribal court jurisdiction. And it's a really good, it's long, it's 40 pages, it's legalese, but I would encourage anyone who's interested in keeping up with the case to read it, because it's a really good response document.
All right, that's all I have.
Councilor Thornton?
Yes. I would like you to kind of go over the difference between the citizenships and the dual citizenships between the UKB and the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma.
Well, all I can tell you is that the Cherokee Nation does not prohibit dual citizenship with any tribe. If you're enrolled Cherokee, you can be, as far as we're concerned, you can be enrolled with any other or as many other tribes as you want. But oftentimes, other tribes limit their tribal members from dual enrollment. And The UKB, as I understand it, has a split system that certain people were grandfathered in, for lack of a better term, and allowed to maintain dual registration as long as nothing changed, and other people are not. So I believe that the UKB has some citizens who are enrolled in both UKB and Cherokee Nation. They have other citizens who are solely enrolled in UKB. And part of the reason this issue has come up, for years, people would go back and forth at the drop of a hat depending on what their individual needs may be from a different tribe. And so part of us requiring our own law to be followed was you had these people who in the past, they might disenroll from Cherokee, enroll UKB, and want to come back 6 months later and enroll in the Cherokee Nation, relinquish their UKB. So our law says that if you relinquish, you have to wait 5 years, unless you're a minor. I believe if you were relinquished as a minor, you can come back before 5 years. So I think that's where some of the complaints are coming from, that in the past, these people have been able to go back and forth with both tribes without any kind of waiting period or anything. And now we're enforcing our own law that says if you relinquish, you have to wait 5 years to reapply for citizenship. But we do not, again, the Cherokee Nation does not prohibit anyone from multiple tribal enrollment.
The people in the UKB that can be dual citizenship, is that just for that individual, or does that cover his family as it goes down through the?
I am not sure, because again, that's their rules that's the UKB rules about who, if they allow them to be both. We don't, of course, obviously there are people, because of the blood quantum requirement, that dad may be eligible for UKB membership, but the kids are only eligible for Cherokee citizenship because they fall below the blood quantum requirement. But as you know, we don't have a blood quantum requirement, and we don't prohibit dual enrollment. So anyone who isn't allowed to enroll in both, that is because of the rules of the UKB, not of the Cherokee Nation.
Okay. Both being Cherokee. Okay, thank you.
So we allow dual membership if, or one or more tribe, if they're federally recognized tribe and not state recognized tribe.
I guess technically we couldn't prohibit someone from enrolling in a state recognized tribe if they wanted to. We're obviously not going to recognize that for any reason, but I think we're on the smaller side. I think most tribes don't allow dual enrollment because we will often have people who, depending on where they lived or the service area that they were in, maybe were enrolled with one tribe for a long time and will move closer and want to now enroll Cherokee because they're no longer eligible for services from their tribe. But we don't prohibit that. So if you enroll Cherokee Nation and you're also half Navajo and you move to Navajo Reservation and want to enroll there, we don't care, but Navajo will make you relinquish your Cherokee membership before they will allow you to enroll.
There you go, Stick. Okay. Any more questions for our Attorney General? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next report, Gwen Terrapin.
We have a full house, so I had to be a good Baptist and sit in the back. Good morning. Since our last meeting, we've had 4 new requests, so we have a total of 10. We've got 3 outstanding, and on your report, I know it showed that we had 2 outstanding and that we didn't have as many, we only had 9, but I got 1 late Friday afternoon. On GRAs, we've had 2, and there's no outstanding on that, and everything on our website's been updated. And I would like to thank you all for all of your continued support, and it's been a pleasure working with everyone, and those of you that are going out, it has been an honor to work with all of you and know you.
Any questions? Good report, Gwen. Appreciate you. Election Commission, Connie Parnell.
Good morning.
Which one of you is Connie Parnell?
I started to say, I'm not Connie Parnell, but.
I'm here.
And I think Connie has already sent the report. And We had a good election. Everything went smoothly. If anybody has any questions,
Yes, Counselor Buzzer?
Just clarification, I was looking at your report, and I was looking at, it says voter registration by district and precinct sheet. Looking at District 7, that's down in Adair County, District 8. One of them has 3,703, the other one has 1,556. What's the deal with the numbers here? Am I missing something on what I'm reading?
Well, District 7 is Frankie's group of people, and District 8 is,
Well, I guess my question I'm asking is why the big difference in numbers?
that is just how it was divided up. And it's based on the Tiger files of the census. And so this is based on that. And so
That's almost 2 to 1. That's almost 2 to 1 voting there. That's not how this was supposed to be set up.
Well, that's how it was given to us.
Okay, well, that's the question I want to know.
You know,
So,
the registered voters from their districts, the registered voters can fill out their voter registration and select, according to their address, it puts them in the district of their representation.
well, I know that, but I thought we were doing the redistricting to get the numbers more equally divided. That was the whole process that went through this.
That was.
And
If
it
you look at
may-
the other numbers, it's in a percentage, a certain percentage of each one is what you got to have. And this is like almost 40% difference here, so.
and it
I
may
wanna take a
have
look
been
at that, Council.
closer at when this was originally set up, but we've also, just in the past, month, we've done 426 voter registrations. So, I mean, there could have been, I'm not saying it was
Well,
a whole lot closer,
Yeah,
but it was probably closer when
I
it was originally
understand,
set
but I
up.
understand, but the whole process that we went through at that time, of course, I wasn't on the council at that time, but when I left, this is what we were doing, is try to redistrict to make numbers more equal to each district, and this is certainly almost 2 to 1. So anyway, I just want to bring that to your attention and to the council.
And I know
attention.
that with, yes. And that's what Chrissy was saying. Back when you all were doing the redistricting, it was based on citizenship, not voter registration. So it's based on, and I know that you have, Justin gave me the numbers, I don't have the numbers
Yeah.
as far as citizens and of voting age.
And it could be right, you could be
It's by
right on
citizenship.
citizenship, it could be, those numbers
They're
really
just not
stuck out.
registered to
Yeah,
vote.
yeah. And could you get those, could you get that,
The information on that?
yeah, and give it to,
Citizenship, sure.
so that we can compare that. So there may not be anything wrong with the numbers, it's just the registered voters here.
Frank, you just
Okay,
questioned
that answers my question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Counselor Argus is registering all these people, well, everybody else perhaps. Yes, Counselor Taylor, to get your question answered?
That was my question. I thought it was based on the number of citizens, not the number of registered
That's
voters.
correct.
It is. But if they're not registered to vote, you don't have them in here.
Counselor Austin?
That was my question as well. I was pretty sure that's where that was coming from.
Counselor Critton?
Shauna, while we're on this subject, thank you, Harley. No, 2 years ago, voting day, there were a lot of my next door neighbors
Right.
that you never know how they're going to vote when they get in the poll, but you know, I kind of thought they was going to vote for me, but they come back by, several, and said, I'm registered in District 7, you know, across the road. And there were some kinfolk of mine that said, hey, I'm going to vote for you. I said, no, you're not. Because they were actually living in District 7, but they could vote in District 8. So are we closer to
We've
getting that
been
gap?
working on that to try to correct that. With the way the system was before, when they had a PO box, then it threw them into that district that where they use that PO box. That's why it is so important that they put those driving directions on those forms now. Because before, we had no way of knowing, where somebody lived. And even though I'm from Adair County, I do not know everyone that lives there or where everyone there lives. So, and as a commissioner, I can't just go in there and change it anyway. We have to have that documentation from them, and that's why it's so important that they put those driving directions on there, or that they give us a physical address, because if all we have is a PO box, we have no idea where to place them. But they have corrected many of those.
I'd be interested in getting some of the information Councilor Buzzard requested. And you guys are good, Shauna, about being at the community meetings.
Thank you.
And that's one way that, we can just let people know what went on and just say, hey, make sure, and just kind of educate them that way. And you guys are always there, so.
And now that the election's over, that is one of the things that we'll start attending some of those again to
Well, I appreciate that.
correct a lot of that.
What is helping us with this is that 911, Adair County, Nowata County were our last two counties that did not have 911 services. Adair County is now implementing 911, and so people are getting new addresses, and that's just something that we hope that they will share those with us so that we can make sure that everybody is in the correct districts.
And if anyone knows, or that even during the last election, if they went to the polls and they're in a district that they think they're not supposed to be in, we encourage them to contact us, because we can't change it without the voters' permission and request. So,
And that's where the challenge ballots come in.
yeah.
Challenge ballots are for those voters who feel like they dispute the district that we have them assigned to. They can vote a challenge ballot, fill out a new voter registration form, filling it out with all the necessary information, and determine that they are in the wrong district, that they are voting in the correct district. Their challenge ballots will count. So these are ways of getting to those people to make sure that we do get them in the right districts. If they register in a PO box or just a rural route, we don't have a way of locating those.
And that's another thing, while we're talking about the challenge ballots, are we good at educating our people at the polls to say, hey, now if they come in this situation, offer them a challenge ballot, let them know that that's their option.
With our workers, you mean?
Right, and
Yes.
because I had a few say that, of course I wasn't there, but, well, you can go ahead and fill one out, probably won't do any good, stuff like that, but.
Well, and that has been the misconception in the past, but we have tried to stress to our precinct workers that.
They do even call us. The precinct
Yeah, the
officials will
precinct,
call us.
usually we spend a lot of time on the phone the day of the election, because the precinct workers will call and ask, we've got this person here that wants, they're not on the book. Then that's what, we ask them to do, is to fill it out if they think that they're in the wrong district or
Well, I
wrong
appreciate it.
precinct or whatever.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yes, Councilor Hargis?
I'd like to know, how do we get a clarification on what the Election Commission considers Highway 59? Now that we have the bypass in Adair County, the state recognizes that as Highway 59, and I had several voters who live west of it, but because 2nd Street used to be Highway 59, Election Commission said they were in District 7 and weren't allowed to vote in the last election. So what do we need to do to ensure that that bypass, which the state recognizes as 59, is upheld by you?
Okay. When we were given the information on the district maps that you all approved, we read it as that it was the bypass. But then when we went that far, we were corrected by geodata that we were not to use the new Highway 59, we would use the old 59. It's kind of like the incident with Highway 20. We had the new Highway 20 and we had the old highway.
Okay, I understand all that, but what do we need to do to ensure that the bypass?
I
started
As
saying-
council, you need to tell us that we need to start using the current Highway 59.
Okay, we'll do
Do
that.
that, then we
That's good.
can,
Thank
we
you.
can change
Can you
it,
work on that?
okay?
I got a question.
She's got the floor. Are you
Okay.
through?
Well, the secretary just told us that when they did Highway 20, all we did was a motion in committee and that it was put in record. So I make that motion that the current Highway 59, the bypass that goes through Stillwell, is considered the division line between District 7 and District 8. Oh, it's not on the agenda. Okay, well, I'll just, I mean, it can wait. I'll wait till next time and do
Yeah,
it. That's
what we
fine
need
with
to
me.
do is take a look at the recommendations that's something you can recommend, because what I asked them to do is give a report. They make recommendations how we can improve our election process. And council members, you have time to make recommendations and write to them. Is that fair enough? Okay. Are you good, Councilor?
I'm good.
Okay, Councilor Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that clarification. Those different highways and which side and which not did not occur in my district. But I listened to, I've heard for a couple of years now about this. And it's amazing to me that geodata usurped the legislative body, that you listen to them rather than what we wrote down. And so I'm just asking, could you clarify what you just told me?
It had to do with 3 of the commissioners or just 2? This was just as I was coming in. So I'm not as well versed on it.
Well, and so this body, I guess Frank and Sean and whoever's affected, I think it was Jay area also at one time, that we need to be very specific and we need to follow up on what geodata tells you guys to do.
Well, we
Because if
no longer,
geodata is changing your mind as to what the legislative body says, that's not where we're headed. That's not what we want to get done.
we currently do not work with geodata any longer.
Okay, well, that's neither here nor there, but we need to be specific, I understand. what you're
Exactly.
saying. The other question I had, have you hired the 3 employees that we lost during the,
Not
whatever
yet.
happened on the fiasco, I'm calling it, during the last election?
No, we
You
hadn't.
can call it what you want to, and I'll call it what I want to.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I don't know what happened, but this council needs to address that. Thank you, sir.
If you want to make recommendations again, get some in writing to the election commission, because I have some recommendations and
And we,
I'll put those in writing.
through the whole election process, we have
Sure.
been.
Yeah, okay. Counselor
Real
Crittenden.
quick. Now, I want to be a part of that.
Sure.
Deciding which highway,
Exactly.
whether we leave it the way, the old Second Street or this. I didn't know if something was getting ready to get drawn up over there a while ago. But I want to be a part of that discussion. Frankie and I can talk and see, but.
You'll come back to the council, so you'll be a part of the vote.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's make a comment, please. I'm not sure that as a commission, that we can make recommendations to you on the lines. We take what you all approve as a body, and we enforce that.
Right now, it's the
So-
old highway, right?
Right.
And I'm not, I'm kind of understanding that you're asking us to give recommendations of what we think the highway should be, but that's not how it works.
The recommendations I was referring to was the election process, not the
Right,
highways.
right.
I want to
So
stay away
basically-
from.
So basically, you're asking us to just say that there has been a request that clarify that, and that we need the body to,
Well, maybe even a precinct. One of the recommendations I was going to make is, why do we change this precinct and give it a new precinct when everyone was used to this old precinct? See, that's the type of recommendation I'm talking.
Right.
Highways, I don't
The
want to touch
highways
those.
is not what you're
Because
what
where
you're
I'm
addressing.
from, you've
Okay.
got highways, byways, and I don't, my
Right.
kinfolks live on both sides, so I get
Right.
votes on either way.
I just want to
And-
clarify that, you know,
Yeah.
And
we
just-
have to take what you all give us and put that into place, so.
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
And just as a.
Well, so far, I think all we're operating off of is a resolution or a motion, correct?
I'll
So-
bring one forward next
So
month.
we'll bring that one back, or others. Yes, go ahead, finish your report.
Just for, like you said with the precincts, sometimes they change.
Yes.
Sometimes it's because that facility is no longer available, or they book something else instead before we request it or whatever, so.
Well, I'm glad you
But
really changed.
there are lots of things
Yes.
that we keep note of to help improve the process from election to election.
The good
That's
one
our
you
main
changed
goal.
is taking the one precinct, you didn't have it at Hastings Hospital this time. You had it back at Sequoia where it's
Right.
been for as long as I can remember. People didn't know whether they should get a blood pressure check or go vote or, you know. So anyway, that was really confusing. It worked out okay this time.
We're trying to use all of Cherokee Nation property when we do this, because the people are used to going to those locations. We went back to Wilma P. because the construction was over with.
Or public schools, those will
Yes,
work.
Those will work, it's just that during the summertime, a lot of them are not open.
Okay.
So we try to accommodate the people with the best facility and availability.
And a couple of them we changed, for instance, in Adair County, because they weren't handicap accessible.
Okay.
And we'd had problems there in the past with our precinct workers being there all day without a restroom and things like that, you know, and that's a long day. So we have to take the whole situation into consideration whenever we decide on those.
Well, good job, ladies. Keep us posted. Okay. Yes, oh, Counselor Raymond.
I had my hand up earlier, I almost forgot what I was gonna ask you. It's my fault. This had no bearing on my last election, but we had a lot of citizens that live in Osage County, which are just a step away from jumping into District 13, that had chosen back during the Constitution, whenever they had the right to select a home district, that
2007.
did select them. Now, they was told the last time that they couldn't vote, that they had to vote at large. And some of them are my relatives, just like Joe's talking about. I have a lot of relatives that live just across the street in Osage County. But they was told they couldn't vote, and then they could vote a challenge ballot, and then I understood the challenge ballots wasn't counted. And but these people don't want to be, they want to stay in their home district where they was born and raised, although they live just across the line. That really hurts us. Now, it had no effect on my election, but it could someday, you know, maybe the next election.
If a voter feels like they've been disenfranchised from voting in the district that they had selected, all they have to do is give us a call. We don't have an option in their registration that says that they are the 2007 clause, where they had the opportunity to select a living at large and an in-district location to vote. So if they make a change in their registration, then it comes back and, for instance, we have some people who move frequently, that they are an at-large resident, they just continue to live at large. And so when they put it on there, they'll say, I want to remain in the district that they had previously chosen in district.
But how did they get moved out, though? I
They
heard
made
that-
a change in their registration.
I was going to say they made a
That
change in
says
their
a new voter
registration.
registration.
Of some sort.
I know some of them moved, but they moved just right down the street or,
Right, but
Across the
anytime,
block.
we have to take every registration for face value.
And
If
if,
they've moved. And we have to re-enter all of that information to give them a new location of residence.
so will these people 2 years from now have the right to do a challenge ballot and clean that back up? Or, I mean, I don't know how to go back and find them all now. I mean, I know a lot of them, but.
they don't have to wait the 2 years. They could contact us at any time and
That's
She
what
said
I told them, and
discuss-
they said some ladies to election commission don't know. Once you're out, you're out.
Oh, my.
I love how people say that we say these things,
I know.
but
But
that's
it's-
not true.
Well, it may not be true, but they're being told by somebody.
I don't know. There is a lot of misconception that is being talked about outside
And your best option
without
is to
correct
contact,
knowledge.
yeah, is to contact us.
And the other thing, Dick and I, we can probably agree on this, but he has a polling place in my district. But District 13 citizens couldn't go there and vote. And it sits inside District 13. It's a District 12 polling place. Who's responsible for something like that?
It's been that way for a very long
No,
time.
it just changed with this last,
I mean, it's in the city.
it's in the
That
city.
is in District 13.
And I told people, I said, well, you can go up there to Skytube and you can vote. Well, they get up there and they say, no, you can't vote here, you gotta go to Collinsville.
Yeah. That's pretty frequent, even in our districts here in Cherokee County.
But do your citizens get to vote wherever they want to, or?
Well, they get to vote, no, they get to vote what district they're registered in.
Yeah.
But,
And the
you know, it's
precinct
nothing
that they
for,
And the precinct that they
it's nothing
choose.
for my precinct to be in Rex's district or walking stick. But not like Sequoia, it's in District 3, but District 2 go there and vote.
And District 1.
And District 1.
Yes.
So it's not.
I like that when you just had one, you know, Cherokee County, we all represent one district. See, the council confused everybody, now we're trying to, you know, redo it
Not me,
again.
I'm not in charge of that deal.
Yeah, me too.
Well, whatever law you all approve is what we put in place to follow that. So
And
you'll
the,
check whatever you all approve.
Yes,
The,
we're trying to have it really good on both ends, see?
and the
It needs to get better.
Yes. Well, that's why I said, write your recommendations and put in writing and we'll, and, because I'm gonna submit mine, because I have some.
We have several.
Okay. All right, anything else, Counselor? All right.
Thank you, ladies. I thought y'all did a good job.
Tax Commission, Sharon Swepson, you can always count on her to be here. With good news and very little controversy.
Morning. Morning. I think you have my report. Try to address any questions you might have.
Counselor Taylor.
One, it's on page 1, under program highlights, motor vehicle, number 2. Month-to-month revenue comparison for May 2015 compared to May 2016.
It's supposed to be 16 and 17.
Okay, that, I
Typo.
wanted to know, was the information incorrect or were the dates incorrect?
No,
Okay, that's
it's
all I
just a
have.
typo.
Simple. That's all I have.
That's not like Sharon to. She must have someone
It
else to do
slipped
it.
by me.
Anybody else? Good report.
16 to 17?
Self-governance, Karen Ketcher.
May 15 and 16.
Karen wasn't here last time. We said we are going to put her up front. She didn't start. Any questions for self-governance? How are we doing with USDA proposals? Are we making some headway? Did we put that under Sarah Hill? Okay. You initiated it, or they moved it out from under you, huh?
Yes, it's with Sarah and, yeah.
Okay. Have someone put that in writing. Let's see how it's all changed. I tell you what, we really need an organizational chart for how that's structured, because some of the natural resources, you can take that back to executive branch. Some natural resources been moved out from Bruce Davis and given to Sarah Hill. We need to see how that's structured, because, you know, we give a different report in a month and you've changed different departments on us here. So would you do that, please?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Karen? Counselor Buzzer.
You asked the question I was going to ask Joe. You asked exactly the question I was going to ask. But do you know how the situation is going? Since you initiated, initiated the change.
I've been gone the last 2 weeks to self-governance meetings, but I understand that there was a meeting last week with USDA, and so I'm sure that Sarah can probably give you an update on what went on in that meeting.
Okay,
I think it was with,
that is a program that I'm interested in watching to see how it does operate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good report.
all right, thank you.
Yes. Gaming Commission, Jamie Hummingbird.
Jamie had an unexpected scheduling conflict, so he won't be able to be here. But we do look forward to working with two soon-to-be confirmed commissioners. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take those.
Okay. Any questions?
I have
Yes,
a question.
Councilor Buzzer.
I'd like to know, does the Gaming Commission currently have their own attorney on staff?
No, sir.
No. So you don't have an attorney that advises the Gaming Commission?
No, sir.
Okay.
The Attorney General's office advises the Gaming Commission as an entity of the Cherokee.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Walker-Stick.
You attended the gaming.
OIGA?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any updates that you picked up?
Compacts, Attorney General, you might have a better comment on that. I didn't really, compacts are still gaming compacts.
The gaming compact expires in 2020 with an automatic evergreen renewal. So everything's fine. We have, as you know, there was talk at the end of last legislative session about expansion and both in the type of game and the length of it. That didn't come to fruition. However, those options are still available for the next legislative session, and we continue to have an eye with the current administration and whatever future governor's administration is on the gaming compact negotiation.
Hey Todd, do you see that compact getting put before the governor's office and the legislative body before their term has expired?
Before
The current administration, before their term expires?
Certainly an option, and
Is that being pursued?
but not currently. We pursued it at the end of the last legislative session. Like I said, didn't come to fruition. However, we continue, to have an open ear and an open eye to any negotiations that take place. And like I said, at the end of the day, gaming continues. It's just it's an evergreen compact, but it will. We want to expand the type of games that are being played, because if you expand the type of games, more revenue comes in. That's a bigger piece of the pie to divide.
When you say the type of games, are you talking about Class 2, Class 3? What type of games are you talking about?
Class 3.
Class 3?
Yeah, and it would be Class 3 games. We do for instance, a card roulette, where our neighboring states do a real roulette. We do a card craps game, where neighboring states do a real craps game. So we really just want to explore the possibility of being genuine in the type of games that we play.
Well, that was my question, if we was going to wrap this up before this administration or the new administration coming in would be the ones that will be approving the 2020 compact.
Our door's always open. Hopefully we can get something wrapped up. Otherwise, when 2020 comes, I'm sure we'll get it done.
You will automatically renew if no one stirs it too much.
Right.
Okay.
Good answer.
All right. Okay. Human Resources. Dr. Nason Morton.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nathan.
Okay, I have some follow-up from last month. A question of whether we could track transfers within the Cherokee Nation. And yes, we can. Should have something the September meeting. Another question regarding teachers and their paychecks in the summer having to go back to Sequoia. That wasn't directly me, but I said I would find someone to pass it on to, and I'd have made contact with Education Services. And the last question was Cherokee Nation's adoption leave. I added to my report an attachment for the FMLA policy, and that covers the adoption leave. It's for up to 12 weeks. Does anyone have any questions or anything new? Or
On the Sequoia employees, are all employees at Sequoia contracted, or just the teachers are contracted? Like the support staff that work in the cafeteria, people that clean the campus up, are those considered contracted employees as well?
I think those are full-time employees, non-contract.
Okay. So only the teachers are contracted. And my next question is, what about the administration? Are they contracted or are those full-time employees?
I'll check on that one.
Okay. I got clarification from Gail Miller about why they don't participate in the bonus program with Cherokee Nation, because they're contracted employees. So that makes sense. And most teachers in the state of Oklahoma are contracted employees. But I have another question too with that. If it's in the gaming commission or the election commission here, if they are a contracted employee, are they able to run for an elected position, elected office, and not have to resign from their position? Say a teacher at Sequoia was wanting to run for council. Well, it isn't direct for you, Nathan. I'm election commission. But would they be able to not? Would they have to resign from their position since they're contracted? You guys know that, Connie?
What, where? What? That's what. The AG was on that.
That's an employment contract. We would look at it more specifically, but I'll tell you, shooting from the hip, that they would have to resign in order to run for office, just like any other regular employee, because they fall under protections for a due process. Our Supreme Court has ruled that. But short answer, employment contract, they'd have to resign, but we would look at it on a.
Yeah, well, Todd, what's the difference of having a contract with the Cherokee Nation and being able to run for an elected position? How come those don't have to rescind their contract with the Cherokee Nation? What's the difference?
Well, I would look at these contracts. Like I said, we would look at it on a specific basis. If you want to submit a question, we'd be happy to, or I'll be happy to answer. But just again, getting from the employment contracts with teachers cut out all the due process, benefits, et cetera, that makes them an employee. For instance, contract with your council attorney, pure money based on hours worked, no benefits, no due process, et cetera. Contract with, and there are copious amounts of contracts like that. The teacher contracts, which was the original question, they are employment contracts, and they have all the benefits, coverage that an employment has.
Well, if that's the case, why aren't they getting the Cherokee's bonuses? If they fall under this employee contract and they fall through under the same due process, why aren't they getting the same bonus that rest of the employees would get?
Contract is what it is. If that contract is changed, they'll abide by it. But the contract is, we abide by what the contract is. I don't make those contracts. I'm not in education. But I'm telling you that those are employment contracts, that we abide by that contract, which are different than just goods and or service contracts that are provided elsewhere.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tom. Mason, what the Attorney General just stated, they're considered employees of the Cherokee Nation. And what's a contracted employee is someone that is doing some services for health or for education. But these teachers at Sequoia are employees of the Cherokee Nation, therefore should be eligible for the bonuses that resident employees in Cherokee Nation get. Do we need to get an opinion on that, Todd, or what's on the teachers over at Sequoia?
The contract speaks for itself. However, our office will answer any question that's submitted to us.
Okay, I'll shoot you an email and request that opinion.
Why don't you shoot the rest of the people that email? Let's see what you're asking.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mason.
Anybody else? Counselor Austin?
On the family leave policy, you've got one little yellow highlight over the adoption, which leads you right to the right place there. Right before that, in the beginning of that sentence, it says placement of a child into employee's family. What does placement mean? Is that when they come to live with them, or when adoption is finished, or adoption's a process? You know, it starts with placement and then court and then finalizes, you know, at some point.
And I think that phrase deals with both adoption and foster care. I did not bring it with me, but I think it mentions both of them. The clause placement would be
It does.
normally considered when they come to live in your home.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good report.
Thank you very much.
Dropping down to old business. Counselor Austin, you're up.
Gladly, thank you. This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Thomas Merrill. Thomas is here. Would you come forward, Thomas? As a board member of the Economic Development Trust Authority Board of Directors. Thomas is currently Vice President of Armstrong Bank. He works primarily, I believe, in Dewey, if I remember right, Bartlesville. His career, he's been with Armstrong for 15 years. He has served with them in Tahlequah, Bartlesville, and Dewey. He has also served on our loan committee with our economic development folks for the last 7 years, and he's had previous banking stints in Skytook, Collinsville, and Owasso. So he is definitely somebody with wonderful Northern Cherokee Nation experience. It's wonderful to have you here, Thomas, and I appreciate you coming.
Thank you for
And I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second? Discussion? Yes, question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask while we're talking about this, how many members are on the board?
I believe there are 5.
5 members? I think we touched on this a little bit last month, but what kind of, you know, economic development, what kind of decisions are?
We actually
approve,
requests for tribal members and businesses to get loans. And it can be from just a basic employee loan all the way up to a large commercial request.
We touched on a little bit of that.
And they write the policy, they approve the policy for both the consumer and the commercial loans, is basically what they do, and manage the portfolio. And then they have a loan committee that's made up with some of the board members and some other people that are actually the ones that make decisions on the individual loans that are sent before them. Anything over 3,500, or consumer loans and all commercial loans are sent to the loan committee.
Well, thank you. And I'm just curious, how are our districts represented in this board? Are, like you're from the Skytook area?
The Bartlesville area.
Right.
Yeah, it goes all the way down to.
He actually lives in Owasso. He works in Bartlesville.
So it's spread out pretty good. You have somebody from Pryor, somebody from Grove, you have somebody from Fort Gibson coming on, or Muskogee coming on.
Gibson, Pryor.
So nobody from Nycut? Okay. Just making sure we're equally represented here. Yes, Councilor England, did you have a question?
Anna, is this the board that we're short-handed on right now?
Right, you have 2 nominees before you today, and once they're confirmed by the council, then our board will be full.
Good. Got somebody from up north.
Counselor Buzzard.
And I take it you're a Cherokee citizen. And do you participate in our election processes?
I do.
Very good.
Okay. All right, you've done well. Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Keep up the good work.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes. Yes, next one, Counselor Hargis, you want to take that?
This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Dennis Darren Delosier as a board member of the Economic Development Trust Authority Board of Directors, and I put that in form of a motion.
Motion and a second. Mr. Delosier here. Any questions, anybody? Yes, Counselor Buzzard.
I take you're a Cherokee citizen.
Yes, sir.
You participate in our election processes?
I have not in the past. Why not? I need to. I really do. I need to.
Certainly do.
It's just something I've never. I don't think there's enough education on that for. And I think Janice can agree with that. There's just not enough for people my age or younger. There's just not. So.
Well, thank you.
But I do use other services.
Yes, I realize.
Can you flip that a little bit? Use the election service and.
Well, there's 3 ladies in the back of the room that can probably help him with that. In fact, here comes one now.
I'll do it.
You need a pen, Darren?
And sir, we appreciate your honesty.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, anybody else? Okay, you got a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Congratulations. Victoria, thank you for your vote. We don't have her on video here, but we can hear her sometimes. Okay, who's got the next one here? Counselor Austin, you're up.
This would be a resolution confirming Burl Keeter.
Yes.
A resolution confirming the nomination of Burl Keeter as an advisory committee member of the Cherokee National Treasures Program, and I see Mr. Keeter is here. I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Will Mr. Keeter come to the front here?
Mr. Keeter? I don't think he heard you.
Come on up.
Any questions for Mr. Keeter before we vote? Yes, Counselor Critton.
Discussion. I've talked to Mr. Keeter and Ms. Cottrell earlier, and some of the questions that I brought up in the cultural committee, they come from constituents and national treasures as well. Have plenty. Tried to amend the agenda. We obviously the majority thought we needed to have a strong discussion. And everyone could bring some things to the table about this, the national treasures. A lot of the questions that I have deal with the advisory board, and it plays hand in hand with kind of where we're going to go from here and move forward. Without discussing that this morning, I'm going to move to table B and C until we get that work group and discuss the heart and soul of this. And then I think we'll be more prepared to do a lot of things, and this being one of them. So I'm going to make a motion to table this one and the following one.
You can only make a motion to address what we're addressing. That's this resolution here. When we get to that one, then you'll have the opportunity.
Okay, well, this is one that I would like to make a motion to table,
Okay.
as well as the next one.
Got a motion to table?
Second.
Got a second? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye to table?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Let's have do roll call on that.
Rex Jordan,
No.
Dick White, Curtis Snell,
No.
Janice Taylor,
No.
David Thornton,
No.
Victoria Vesquez,
No.
David Walkingstick,
No.
Brian Warner,
No.
Bill Anglin,
Yes.
Keith Austin,
No.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Joe Byrd,
No.
Sean Crittenden,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
No.
Frankie Hargis,
No.
Wanda Hatfield.
Abstain.
We have 4 yes, 11 no, and 1 abstention. Motion fails.
Okay, back to the nomination. So we have, yes, Counselor Wogstick.
I wasn't in culture committee, but I would like to hear, Councilman Crittenden, would like to hear y'all's concerns on this, and it could be something that we address to this advisory board, to whatever those concerns.
Counselor Wogstick, what we did is we tabled to discuss this and have a special meeting because it would have taken longer than 25 minutes what we
Okay.
left we had.
Gotcha.
So we're going to come back and
I
address
shall
it.
show up to the next
And we've
meeting.
got legislation that was passed 11 years ago that set up the national treasury. And so we're going to review all of that, look at policies, and see what solutions we can come up with and recommendations.
Okay. Just on Beryl Keir's behalf, Beryl is a mentor in Muskogee area and across the Cherokee Nation, named to the National Treasurer last year. And also a father figure, a mentor to our Vice President, Chuck Garrett. And Beryl spoke highly. He's a longtime school administrator, superintendent. And he spoke highly as one of the best flint knappers around here. See his work, amazing, and Don can attest to that. And I'm honored to sponsor this man. He has done great things in the Indian country and across Muskogee County. So I'll be voting for you. So I appreciate you coming and giving the time to be a part of this role. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Speaker.
Any other questions? Yes, Counselor Garvin there.
Burl Keeter's one of my good friends. We've known each other for years and years. We used to quail hunt together and fish, and we coached basketball together. And he said, "Garvin, you take the first shot at the quail, and then I'll get him."
So you flush him out.
He was an outstanding sportsman, and he does a great job with Cherokees. I strongly recommend that you all vote for Burl for this. I don't know, I hope it's not too hard, but hard job. But he's a great man. Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Taylor.
Okay, so I need some help with this, Jack. The resolution dealing with the National Treasurers Advisory Board sets the terms at 3 years. And this resolution says 1 year. So
All of them say.
So it should go.
So can we, I guess the question is, can we substitute language in this resolution to make it 3-year term?
Should it be
to
3
match
years? I mean, Secretary, should that have been 3 years? Was that a misprint?
It should have been based on the rules of the committee that they adopted, so they changed the bylaws, and so the resolution should have come over for 3 years.
Would you like a friendly amendment?
So if there was a friendly amendment, I suppose that covers all of it.
Okay,
Who
so
made the motion?
Keith did.
Keith, okay, Keith, you accept the friendly?
Well, I've not heard of friendly, but.
Okay, so I would make a friendly.
From 1 to
Would you like to
3?
hear it? To make this resolution line up with the 3-year term set forth previously.
Yes. Who made the second?
I did. I just need a discussion.
Okay.
Janice second.
Okay, Janice made the second.
So she accepts
So
her.
she, I accept, she should accept it.
Okay.
Discussion.
Then we have discussion. Counselor Crittenden.
Yes, I think this is another thing we need to be careful about before we have our talks, because I've got every resolution of every advisory board member clearly states 1 year, every one of them, and they're all expired. So just to make a friendly and zap this one in the head right now, I think that's premature until after we have those discussions that you and I both wanted to have.
It was a change of bylaws.
Yeah, this is a bylaw change
And
that
this is not
secretary
just-
needs to scold somebody for not printing it right.
You know, it wouldn't do me no good to name all of these resolutions.
Sure.
There's a bunch of them, but,
But the council can make that change here.
right. But this is not, you know, we were gonna have our work group that.
And we still
that
are.
You and I both thought were,
All
was a good
all these
idea.
guys, I hope they enhance that committee. I mean, I
Right.
think they're very capable. But anyway, we have a motion and a second. Are you through with discussion? You want to continue?
I might have something later, but I'm through for now.
All right. Got a motion, second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, got one, two. Got two. Okay. All right, Mr. Keeter, you got anything to say? They really spoke well of you.
Appreciate your feelings. Thank you. I'll be glad to serve for you and the Cherokee Nation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, bro. Congratulations to you.
Yes, the next one, Counselor Warner, would you take that?
Yes, sir. This is a resolution confirming the nomination of Vivian Cottrell as an advisory committee member of the Cherokee National Treasures Program, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion, a second?
Second.
Got a second from Counselor Baker there. Any discussion? Yes, Counselor Critton.
I'd like to make a motion to table this until after our discussions of the work group that we formed this morning, all about the National Treasures Program.
Second.
Got a motion to table, got a motion and a second. Okay, all in favor? Yes.
I would like to make it friendly that we do the same thing as to the 3-year term that we just did on.
So we got to vote on it first. Okay, you got a motion, second, table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, let's do roll call again, just for clarification.
Janice Taylor?
No.
David Thornton?
No.
Victoria Vasquez?
No to table.
David Walkingstick?
No.
Brian Warner?
No.
Bill England?
Yes.
Keith Austin?
No.
Jack Baker?
Yes.
Harley Buzzard?
Yes.
Joe Byrd?
No.
Sean Crittenden?
Yes.
Don Garvin?
Yes.
Frankie Hargis?
No.
Wanda Hatfield?
Abstain.
Rex Jordan?
No.
Dick Lay? Curtis Snell?
No.
We have 5 yes and 10 no, the motion fails.
Okay, back to the nomination.
And now I make my friendly to
Okay,
make that
friendly to
correction.
make that from 1 to 3. Okay, and you accept? Okay.
And I accept also.
Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, one opposed. Okay, let's drop down to the next one.
Did you have anything to say?
Yes,
For those
my
of you-
apologies here. I'm trying to,
My name is Vivian Garner Cottrell. I'm originally from Tahlequah. I live up north on the river. I've been a basket weaver for most of my life, for about 45 years. I was taught by my mother. I'm very proud of that. And National Treasure for 22 years. I also am very appreciative of the mentoring program. I have held 2 class sessions, and I'm teaching the pre-European contact double weave, which is woven in the East. And I have seen very few weavers here, and I'm excited to be able to see more of that being woven here. And thank you.
Vivian, we are very fortunate to have somebody like your caliber to even want to do this. So we really appreciate you for what you do and what you stand for.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Counselor Jordan, would you take that?
Yes. This is a resolution confirming the appointment of Janice Purcell as a commissioner of the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Is Janice here?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Counselor Buzzard.
Yes, I just want to make a comment here. I've known Janice for several years, and she used to work here. But I want to ask Janice a question. Janice, did you at one time say that the National Courthouse was not Indian country?
I think about 20 years ago, it was not in trust land, and actually that was over 20 years ago. And so when the federal judge asked me, I responded honestly, it was not in trust land at that time, Mr. Buzzard. Shortly thereafter, there was an application that was made to put it in trust. And I think that was beneficial since the federal courts did not know that it was not in trust at the time, and that was the Northern District.
Well, you know, my feeling is, whether it's in trust or not, it should have been declared as Indian country. There's no more Indian country than that Cherokee Nation Supreme Courthouse downtown, so I'll not be supporting Ms. Janice on this nomination. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, you have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
1, 2. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate this honor.
Yes. Yes, next, Counselor Hargis, you want to take that?
Yes, this is a resolution confirming the appointment of Tana Glory Jordan as the Commissioner of the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. I move for its approval.
Second.
Okay. Yes, we got a motion. We had a second on that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Counselor Buzzard.
Yeah, I just want to make some comments here. I've known Tina for years. We served on the council together. Well, she's a good lady. But I just think that my opinions are that we have too many people that's in leadership roles, appointing people to boards and commissions. I'm not for that. So there's nothing against Tina's education and her background as a lawyer, but I'm just not going to support Tina for this position because of that. The other thing is the relationship between commissions and boards, the people that are on the council. My feeling is if you're on the tribal council, which she meets this criteria, that you should not be appointed to any boards or commission for a period of 2 years. And that's the way I feel about it, and I just want to bring it for the committee and let them know how my feelings are about it. So, Don, I'm not going to support you, but it's not because I don't think you can do the job, but that's my reasons. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Britton.
Donna, you currently are with the Housing Authority?
Yes, I am.
And just their attorney?
I work 32 hours for them in-house.
And I tend to agree with Counselor Buzzard on saying, you know, we've known each other a while, Bill auction days, and respect you and your family. You know, the housing thing, we're battling a big monster there with the Housing Authority, and we're trying to make it better every day. And I'm glad you're there. You're capable of doing lots of things. But I feel comfortable about just having your capabilities just honing in just like you do every day with the Housing Authority alone there. And so that's going to be the way that I vote today. But I appreciate you and your work for this nation when you sit down at this table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Got a motion and a second? Yes, Counselor Thornton.
I just have a couple things to say. Tina, I'm elated that you're come forward and you're going to be on this Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. And for the main reason is because of the knowledge that you possess and all the years that you've been here. I know that you know probably as much about being a board member on the gaming commission as about anyone sitting here. And with your knowledge, your experience, with your background, and with your degree, I think you're a great choice for this council to bring forward and to sit on that commission, because that commission kind of rules itself, and we need someone in there that will be able to look at what's going on, look at the problems and the ideas that the National Gaming Commission comes up with, because a lot of things that they come up with don't help us as far as the Cherokee Nation Gaming. And we need someone on there to look through those laws and look and see what's going on up there, because we don't know. You think you know, you get good reports and everything's doing this and that, but you go up there and start watching what's going on, which I have the last 4 years, and there's things that's going on that need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed by a strong board up there. And in the past, it's my belief that we hadn't had it, but I think going this way, that we will have it. And thank you very much for coming forward.
Thank you.
Yes, we have a motion and a second. Any more questions? Yes, Councilor Watson.
Ty, I'm kind of a councilman Thornton. I appreciate you wanting to step up to the plate. When I first came on the council, you educated me a lot on the gaming laws and everything. You're a great asset to the Cherokee Nation, and I'm glad that you take a lot of pride in that, as well as with your father's influence as well. Before that, I hear Councilman Buzzard's comments as well. I think we do get carried away with families and put them on boards and so forth, and a borderline conflict. And I hope in the future we are more sensitive to those relationships. But Tina, she's an ace, and she can do whatever you put her up to. She could run this tribe by herself if she wanted to. That's how capable of a woman she is. So I'll be supporting you. But Secretary and Chief, I don't want to question you guys, but it's just be sensitive, I would say.
Councilor England.
I feel the same as Councilor Walker said. I have a lot of confidence in you. I know you'll do a great job. You and I have been involved before, but I would just hope sometime in the future. I just think we're getting too close to having people in the same, managing one, being on the other. I mean, but I think you're probably an asset to the gaming commission. So I too would like to see other people brought forward, but this is what this administration chooses, and so just because of you and I's relationship on the council, I'll be supporting you also.
If I could, Mr. Speaker, just very briefly, I would respect the comments that were made about the nominations. If we set out to pick the best and brightest, the most qualified to serve on the Gaming Commission of the Cherokee Nation, and we looked at the resumes of Madam Speaker and Ms. Purcell, we would choose those two easily because of their credentials, their energy. And so I think we're in the administration tasked with finding the folks that are very capable of performing these tasks, and we have found two today. So I think that we've got two very good nominations here. We're very proud to have advanced them today.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. We have a motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. 1, 2, and 1 abstention. Okay, you got anything to say?
I just want to thank you all for the opportunity. And I still have a lot of energy, so I think I can do both of them. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity again. Thank you.
Okay, we've run over a little bit. Curtis, would you do this last resolution, Counselor Snell?
Yes. This is an act relating to the technical amendments to the Cherokee Nation's Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. Motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes. Any announcement? Okay, what we'll do is you want to take a break before we come back to NF, or you want to start it?
We have got a reception plan for our outgoing council members, so we're going to go ahead and do that because I know I'm hungry. I don't know about everybody else. Can we go, say, about 12:20?
12:20 it is. For those of you, we have
In
four.
respect to the retiring council member, David Thornton, if he wants to go 12:30, let's go 12:30.
We have 4 council members that are not leaving, they're just taking a break. So we've got a little reception for them, for those of you who are here. Would you please stay, and appreciate that. So we'll adjourn this meeting and come back to ENF about between 12:20, we'll look at 12:20, maybe 12:30. Motion to adjourn? Second.